I'm here in Iowa right now, and we finally got some sunny skies. Yesterday was a bit sketchy. Had about 20 different tornadoes touch down over in southwest Iowa, and I'm here in south central Iowa, but it was pretty sketchy here. And we didn't see any funnel clouds hit the ground, but we had walls of rain come through like I've never seen before. So a little sketchy yesterday, but the weather is good today, and most of the rain that come through was pretty hard and fast, so I don't think it's going to deter actually any planting this afternoon. I'm going to kind of plant some high spots, so a lot of that rain yesterday was runoff. But I got my 3-row corn planter here hooked up, just changed the plates on it to my corn plates. I got the corn sitting on the back of the hoppers right there, but I got a magic and secret weapon here, if you will. It's my anabolic grow. This is our foliar spray. And then this tiny little bottle, this is the magic. This is our seed coat that I'll be using here in about 10 minutes. I am a little bit late in planting corn right now because of all the wet weather we've had. So this seed coat is going to change my germination rate from a 10 to 14 day germination, which is pretty typical. I used it last year testing it, and I had germination in 4 days on some of my milo and sorghum. So it increases germination very fast, which I need. I need to catch up some time that I have lost due to bad weather. But nonetheless, I got the 3-row planter hooked up, took my Kubota, and I'm ready to go start putting little slits in the ground to make magic corn stand up. Putting some plots in. This here is a small plot that was in place when we bought this farm. You know, it's a small plot, so you kind of overlook some of those small plots. We all like to do those big honking big places, but I believe this place here is actually going to be a good producer, even though it's probably only it may be half and maybe crowding 3/4 of an acre, but nonetheless, back over my shoulder here, there's a big giant CRP field, which obviously is really thick, tall, grown up stuff, which is good for rut activity. Back here on this tree line is a really steep bank creek, which is a natural pinch point, so it's going to keep them on this side coming through this food plot. Back up in behind me is an all timbered ridge, pretty steep ridge. There's a shelf or two on it, so they are going to walk that shelf, but there's a lot of trails coming down and into this bottom right now, so pretty awesome place here from what I can tell back when we bought the place back in March. But like I said, this was an existing food plot, just was, well, it's pretty much had run its course, so it's due time to turn under. It was just a little bit of clovers. When I was up here 2 weeks ago, it was super wet and wasn't able to get the tractor out and the disc in these bottoms here because it was so wet. It was just a muddy mess, as you could imagine. This soil here is a little different than what I'm used to in Tennessee, but probably the best soil my disc and tractor's ever driven through, to be quite honest with you. But nonetheless, I'm a little behind times, but I'm going to use a product called Sportsman's. It's by Sportsman's Research. It's called Anabolic Grow Seed Coat. And typically in a seed germination, I've talked about this before, but I truly believe in it. It's a product that typically, when you're planting seed, your germination time is about 10 to 14 days. But with the Anabolic Grow Seed Coat, I've seen germination on my Tennessee farms up to 4 days, and in 7 days I had plants that was 4 inches tall. So I'm gonna, even though I'm a little bit late here in Iowa, I'm gonna gain some of that time back by using the Anabolic Grow. You know, this is a new farm that we purchased here back in the spring, and I've made a few different videos here from this farm in particular, just kind of the process that we're going through to get the food plot structure in place and trying to get habitat developed. And you know, obviously we're dealing with nature, so it does take a little bit of time. But one thing I wanted to show you was this food plot here behind me. Is that not absolutely stunning? That is the best turnips that I've ever grown in my life. Obviously a couple different reasons. There's good soil here in Iowa, as we all well know. This is going to make an astounding food plot location. This is standing corn back over here behind me. I did bush hog a spot up into the middle of it here to allow me ingress and egress back here from the east, which is where the home and farm shop and party barn is at. So we'll ingress, egress from over here, work our way up the draw walk up to the blind, which will be inside the standing corn. So my ingress egress will be pretty much covered every time we come in and out of this place. So it should be awesome. But these turnips are astounding, and what I want to make sure that you understand, and you've heard me talk about it before, but the anabolic grow product that I've been using for the last couple years in both seed coat and foliar. And I just wanted to show you, this is our packaging. This is a new packaging. This is our Plot Max seed coat right here. These turnips here have not had any fertilization on them. When I bought this farm, it was a cattle farm, so there's been no history of production on this property in this particular location, or, well, for that matter, anywhere on this farm. So there's been no fertilizer anywhere on this farm, none on this plot right here. And these turnips right here are by far the best looking turnips that I've ever planted in my life. And again, the only thing that has been applied to these is our Plot Max seed coat with powered by or driven by anabolic grow formula. So I just want you to understand how important anabolic grow, the Plot Max and Trophy Max is to your farms, to your success, and what your food plots look like. Right now, it's really good for anything west wind, anything north or south. But if we got anything that's got any kind of east to it, I have to put a blind over there, just to make sure that we got all options covered. But nonetheless, this here is the setup. It's a pretty amazing setup. Like I posted this morning, our turnips right here are astoundingly green. We just got rain here the last couple days. Got a little bit last week, but prior to that, there was like 63 or 64 days we had not one drop of rain. It was probably the longest dry spell I've seen in the fall any place, but it was crazy dry. But our turnips look amazing, just due to we did the Sportsman's Research seed coat, and then we also did the foliar spray too. So that product allows them to manipulate sunlight and get more growing time. So because of that, also it establishes an amazing root structure, which allow those root systems to penetrate deep to find the water that they were looking for, just because they're well done on the surface. But nonetheless, this here will be our late season food plot here in Iowa on this one farm. What's going on, guys? Happy December. We're into our third day of the first shotgun season here in Iowa. That is our first time hunting here as a resident. And I just want to let you know I burned some powder today, and I'll show you on what. Look at that mega right there. Is that not awesome or what? You know, we don't have a whole lot of history with this deer here. We didn't see him early season. Of course, as you know, things kind of shifts around when deer change locations when they go hard horn, and we didn't have him early season. He didn't show up to about a month ago. And we got a couple trail camera pictures of him. And then I had an encounter with him here about 2 weeks ago. I was down bow hunting in a CRP bottom where I'd been getting some trail camera pictures of him. And I had an encounter with him and our first original shooter. Downside is this guy here was pushing our original shooter right underneath my tree stand. He had a broke main beam. And this guy here ended up getting back on the hot doe and turned and went back into the CRP field. Never could get a shot at him or get him close enough with a bow. So since then, I've kind of stayed out. thinking that maybe he'll come to this food plot that I was hunting on here this afternoon. And this food plot behind me is it's a turnip field that we've been using for kind of a research and development plot for our Sportsman research products. And he hadn't been up here in daylight, but this morning I checked and I was on the phone with actually another CVA TV show that we work with, and checked the camera, and it was about 10:30, I guess, when we were on the phone talking. And at 10:15, this deer here was standing in the food plot here that I was hunting tonight. So we figured, because we saw him or he was on the camera at 10:15, that he was probably bedded pretty close by somewhere. So I slipped back in this afternoon as quiet as I possibly could, and we had a really good west wind, which would put the wind in my face the whole walk in this afternoon. Got in the blind, and I probably hadn't been in there 45 minutes, and this guy here and several other bucks, I think it was 8 other ones, total of 9, come running and chasing one doe out of the timber that we're actually standing in now. And I was running my CVA Acura 45 caliber, and ended up making a shot on him at 250 yards, which looked like a pretty good shot for 250 and a 45 caliber 285 grain bullet. But this is our first deer off our Iowa farm, and I would say it's a pretty darn good one to start with.